I sat alone inside the mahogany-paneled office, leather chair swallowing me whole, curtains drawn against the afternoon glare. Time had grown strange since Emma's funeral. Days blurred together, nights stretched endlessly. My house felt like a mausoleum filled with perfume ghosts, half-folded laundry, and untouched teacup. Grief gnawed, but beneath it another wound festered, one stitched with anger, confusion, humiliation. The lawyer cleared his throat, spectacles sliding down his crooked nose. His voice echoed across the conference table where Emma's parents, Margaret and Henry, perched stiffly, like vultures awaiting a carcass. Their daughter, my wife, had been buried scarcely 8 weeks, yet their eyes glimmered with calculation rather than sorrow. The estate, the lawyer intoned, remains fully in the possession of the surviving spouse. Mr. Hale, you inherit the residence, financial accounts, and personal holdings. I exhaled, not from greed, but from the relief of finality. My partner, gone far too young, had at least trusted me with her legacy. That trust meant more than any bank statement. Yet before I could settle into the comfort of remembrance, Margaret leaned forward, lips pinched, fingernails drumming the polished surface. "This is unacceptable," she hissed, voice sharper than broken glass. "Emma's life belonged to our family. Those assets should revert to us. He," her manicured finger jabbed in my direction, "is nothing without her. A hanger-on. A leech." Her words carved through me, slicing what little dignity I had left. Henry followed with a harumph, his ruddy face blotched crimson. "We'll contest this. You tricked our daughter, seduced her, drained her. She is dead, yet you profit. Tell me, how do you sleep?" I wanted to scream. Instead, silence became my shield. Their cruelty rattled me, though rage churned underneath. Emma had chosen me, not them. She'd endured their judgment all her life, their demands, their suffocating expectations. We had whispered in bed about escaping their grasp, creating our own world, nurturing tenderness beyond their reach. Now they aimed to erase me, diminish our years, rewrite history for their benefit. Grief's weight shifted, mutating into something darker, defiance. The lawyer raised his hands, pleading civility. "The will is clear. Unless evidence proves coercion or fraud, the inheritance stands." Margaret scoffed. "Evidence surfaces eventually. Don't think your charade protects you." Her venom struck harder than anticipated. I clenched fists beneath the table, nails biting skin. My gaze drifted toward the framed diplomas on the wall, anything to avoid combusting before witnesses. I reminded myself that Emma loved me, her laughter in the kitchen, her whispered encouragement during failures, her body curled against mine on cold mornings. That memory was my defense, my truth. When the session adjourned, I walked into the crisp winter air, lungs burning from restraint. Snowflakes drifted across the city, each crystal unique, fleeting. I thought of Emma's voice, her final words telling me never to surrender to bitterness. Yet bitterness stalked me like a shadow. Inheriting her possessions felt like inheriting chains. Her parents' accusations echoed louder than the wind, and deep within, loneliness merged with anger, sculpting a void hungry for something, anything, that could fill it. Nights became longer after that meeting. I wandered empty hallways like a prisoner pacing a cell, each creak of the floorboards reminding me I was utterly alone. Grief whispered through every object Emma had left behind. Her books stacked crookedly on the shelf, her scarf draped carelessly over the banister, her scent still woven into pillows. I felt haunted, not by her spirit, but by my own need. One evening, seeking air beyond suffocating walls, I drifted toward the library where Emma once volunteered. She had adored the place. Dusty corridors lined with forgotten histories, stained glass windows filtering light into jeweled patterns. I thought I'd find comfort there, but instead I found her. Not Emma, of course, but someone startlingly connected to her, Isabella. She stood beside the reference desk, organizing files with casual elegance. Her auburn hair tumbled across one shoulder, eyes glimmering with mischief and sympathy all at once. She noticed me instantly, lips curving in a knowing half-smile. "You're Hale, right? Emma's husband." My chest tightened. Hearing Emma's name spoken by a stranger twisted grief into something sharper. "Yes," I answered, voice low. "I was." Isabella's gaze softened. She stepped closer, perfume drifting across the air, jasmine layered with spice. "I knew her from the community events here. She talked about you often. Said you made her laugh when no one else could." Her words should have comforted me, yet instead they kindled an ache, a dangerous pull. Compliments wrapped in Emma's memory carried a strange intimacy. I studied Isabella's face too long, noticing the curve of her cheek, the faint scar along her chin, details I had no right to savor. We conversed easily, though guilt gnawed at the edges. She asked about my days, my plans, whether I felt supported. No one had asked me such questions since the funeral. Her concern felt intoxicating, a balm I hadn't realized I craved. "Emma's parents," I muttered without restraint, "want everything." As if I was just a placeholder in her life. Her brow furrowed, sympathy deepening. She touched my forearm briefly, too briefly, and electricity surged through me. That fleeting connection should have been innocent, yet it sparked hunger where only despair had resided before. We lingered beneath the stained glass until closing hours, reluctant to separate. She promised to meet me again, suggested coffee, perhaps dinner. I should have declined. Morning demanded solitude, fidelity even to the dead. But when she asked, my answer betrayed me. "Yes," I said, almost whispering. Walking home through frosted streets, I felt Emma's absence more fiercely than ever. Yet alongside sorrow bloomed anticipation, dangerous and undeniable. Isabella's eyes haunted me now, not Emma's. Her touch replayed in my mind like a secret refrain. By the time I reached my door, shame wrestled desire, but desire refused to loosen its grip. For the first time since the funeral, my heart raced not from pain, but from forbidden possibility. Coffee became our excuse. At first, the meetings felt harmless, two people clinging to conversation to escape loneliness. We chose quiet corners, half-empty cafes where soft jazz floated through the air, and no one cared enough to recognize me. Isabella would stir her cappuccino absent-mindedly, eyes never leaving mine, as though the swirl of foam carried secrets meant only for us. She listened without judgment. I confessed my nightmares, my anger at Emma's parents, my guilt at even sitting across from her. She leaned closer, chin resting on her hand, giving every word the gravity of scripture. That attention pierced deeper than I expected. It stripped away walls I had built to survive. One evening, drizzle streaked the windows as we lingered after closing hours. The barista sighed impatiently while stacking chairs, yet Isabella stayed, lips curving mischievously as though daring me to break the rules of propriety. I caught myself watching her mouth, wondering how soft it might feel, and shame slammed into me. My wife's photograph still sat on my nightstand, her smile frozen in eternal fidelity. What kind of man imagines another woman so soon? Still, temptation thrived in silence. We stepped outside together, umbrellas forgotten, rain soaking our coat. She laughed, a sound husky, intimate, pulling me toward something unspoken. When I stumbled on a slick patch, her hand shot out, gripping mine firmly. That contact lingered too long, neither of us willing to release. My pulse quickened, her thumb brushing against my knuckle with deliberate slowness. "Careful," she whispered. But the warning felt layered, as though caution extended beyond wet pavement. I should have let go. Instead, I tightened my hold. The walk back stretched endlessly. Each streetlight revealed droplets sliding down her cheek, glistening like tears. I wanted to kiss them away, yet guilt screamed inside me. I heard Emma's laughter, her promises, her belief that we were forever. But forever had ended in a coffin lowered beneath earth. I was still breathing, and my body remembered what it meant to crave warmth. When we reached her apartment door, she hesitated. "Do you want to come up? Just for tea?" The invitation hung between us like a knife. I nodded, lying to myself that it was only tea. Inside, the air smelled of sandalwood and wine. Bookshelves lined the walls, papers scattered across a desk, candles flickering with lazy shadows. She slipped off her coat, movements unhurried, deliberate. I sat on the couch, every nerve braced for betrayal. She placed 2 mugs before us, but when she handed mine, our fingers brushed again. Electricity surged. Neither of us moved. Our faces tilted closer, breaths mingling, lips nearly touching. I whispered, "We shouldn't." Her reply was softer, sharper. "Then why does it feel inevitable?" When our mouths finally met, the world shattered into fire and rain, grief and desire colliding with merciless force. That kiss became the crack through which everything unraveled. Once lips met, restraint dissolved. Her hands cupped my jaw, pulling me closer, as though she feared I might vanish if distance reappeared. My grief screamed betrayal, but my body betrayed me more. Hunger replaced hesitation, lips pressed harder, breath growing ragged, until thought surrendered entirely. Clothes became barriers, and barriers begged to be discarded. She led me toward her bedroom, fingers tangled in mine, urgency guiding each step. Candles flickered shadows across walls, their glow painting her skin in molten gold. I told myself to stop, to remember Emma, to honor vows carved in memory. Yet lust silenced conscience, whispering that living demanded more than mourning. Her touch burned, fingers tracing scars I didn't know I carried, lips branding places untouched since loss devoured me. Every sigh from her mouth fueled an intoxication deeper than any wine. I inhaled her scent, tasted her laughter, drowned in her warmth. Each movement carried defiance, as though we both understood we trespassed sacred ground but craved the thrill of violation. The storm outside battered windows, rain hammering glass, thunder punctuating our rhythm. I lost myself completely, every thrust erasing grief, every moan rewriting guilt into desire. She whispered my name with reverence, pulling me further from Emma's shadow, further into an abyss where morality fractured. Afterwards, silence stretched thick, broken only by our uneven breathing. Sweat cooled across our skin, hearts still racing. I stared at the ceiling, chest heavy with contradiction. Satisfaction pulsed through me, yet so did shame. I had betrayed the dead, the memory of a woman who trusted me, loved me, built a life beside me. And still, I wanted more. Isabella rolled onto her side, studying me with eyes that gleamed dangerously. "You've been carrying ghosts," she murmured, fingertips brushing across my chest. "Maybe it's time you start carrying something real." Her words sank into me like hooks. I should have recoiled, but instead I leaned toward her again, desperate for another taste of forbidden absolution. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something equally powerful: escape. The following days blurred with secret rendezvous. Library shelves hid stolen touches, late-night calls dragged me from sleeplessness into whispered promises. At her apartment, curtains remained drawn, creating a world where grief couldn't follow. I began living in fragments, widower by day, sinner by night. But with every meeting, the danger grew sharper. Emma's parents still circled, determined to strip me of inheritance, and should they uncover my affair, their accusations would transform into weapons. Yet desire outweighed fear. When Isabella kissed me, when she clawed at my back, when we lost ourselves in sheets twisted by lust, nothing else mattered. I had crossed the threshold. There was no turning back. Passion always feels eternal in the moment, yet reality never stays away for long. By the 3rd week of secrecy, cracks began to show. It started subtly: missed calls from colleagues, whispers among neighbors noticing unfamiliar footsteps outside my house at odd hours, curious glances from the barista who saw me return to the same cafe with the same woman. In another life, such scrutiny might have been harmless. But my life now teetered between inheritance battles and lust-driven deception, and every stray observation threatened to shatter the fragile construct I'd built. Emma's parents grew louder. Letters arrived from their attorney, filled with accusations of undue influence, fraud, moral corruption. They claimed my marriage had been a facade, that I manipulated Emma for wealth. Their words, dripping venom, stabbed deeper because I had begun proving them right in ways they could not yet see. While I hadn't seduced Emma for gain, I was now betraying her memory, feeding on flesh while her grave remained fresh. One evening, a courier delivered documents demanding immediate disclosure of my finances. Rage bubbled inside me, but fear gnawed harder. If they pursued this fight publicly, every detail of my private life could be dragged into light. And Isabella, our hidden affair, would become ammunition. She noticed my unrest. "You're restless," she whispered while tracing circles across my chest. Her calm contrasted my spiraling thoughts. "They'll destroy me if they learn," I confessed. "I can't lose everything." Her expression shifted, sharp as a blade. "Then don't give them the power. Stand firm. With me, you don't need anyone else." It was intoxicating, her certainty. Yet something unsettled me. The way she spoke as if my world should be dismantled so hers could replace it. I pushed the thought aside, burying doubts beneath her kisses. But outside her apartment, the storm brewed louder. Neighbors began avoiding my eyes. Emma's closest friend, Clara, stopped by unannounced, scanning my living room with suspicion, asking gentle questions that felt like traps. "How are you managing nights alone? You look different." I lied, clumsy and half-hearted. She studied me as though she already knew. At night, dreams of Emma returned. In them, she stood beside her grave, lips moving but no sound emerging. I woke drenched in sweat, guilt flooding me, only to crawl back into Isabella's arms as if her warmth could drown the silence. Soon, Isabella's insistence grew. She wanted permanence, visibility, a future not hidden in shadows. "Why hide me?" she demanded one night, eyes glinting with defiance. "Because they'll use you against me," I admitted. Her lips curved in a dangerous smile. "Maybe that's exactly what we should let happen." Her words echoed long after she slept, curling in my chest like smoke. Was she savior, or was she fire, waiting to consume everything Emma left behind? Either way, the path I'd chosen promised only ruin or release. The storm broke on a Thursday morning. A thick envelope arrived by courier, stamped with the family's attorney's seal. I tore it open with trembling hands, expecting more accusations. Instead, inside lay photographs, grainy yet unmistakable. Me. Isabella. Her door behind us. Her lips pressed against mine beneath a street lamp. Our shadows tangled through curtains. Proof of sin captured with merciless clarity. My pulse thundered. They knew. Before panic could take me, my phone buzzed. Isabella's name glowed across the screen. I answered, voice cracked. "They've found us." Silence. Then laughter, low, unhurried, chilling. "Of course they did." The world tilted. "What do you mean?" "I gave them what they wanted," she confessed, words smooth as silk, sharp as a dagger. "They approached me weeks ago, after the funeral. Said you'd cling to anything warm, said they needed someone who could encourage your collapse." I couldn't breathe. My body burned as if struck. "You worked for them?" "I worked for myself," she corrected. "But they offered incentive. A share of what they'd take from you. Your inheritance for my loyalty." Memories spiraled. The first meeting at the library, her ease with Emma's name, her insistence on visibility, her dangerous smile when I worried about exposure. It was never chance. It was design. Rage erupted. "You used me. You desecrated her memory." "Stop pretending," she snapped, voice suddenly cold. "You wanted me. Needed me. Don't lay your guilt at my feet. You betrayed Emma long before I betrayed you." The line went dead. I collapsed onto the floor, photos scattering around me like broken glass. Every image mocked me. Widower turned adulterer, lover turned pawn. Emma's parents had played their game perfectly. Inheritance would crumble under scandal, courts would strip me bare, reputation would rot. And Isabella, my escape, my fire, was gone, leaving ashes in her wake. That night, I walked through the house like a stranger. Emma's portrait gazed down from the mantel, her smile frozen in a past I had defiled. I whispered apologies to her silence, knowing forgiveness would never come. When dawn arrived, lawyers would call, neighbors would whisper, newspapers might even sniff scandal. Everything was slipping: wealth, name, love, memory. Yet amidst ruin, a strange clarity emerged. Emma had always warned me her parents thrived on control, manipulation, masked. I had become their perfect victim, devouring temptation until nothing remained but shame. I stood before the mirror, searching for a face I could no longer recognize. Husband, sinner, fool. The doorbell rang, sharp, insistent. Probably the attorney, maybe the parents themselves. Whoever waited outside would finish what Isabella had begun. I didn't move. Instead, I whispered into the silence, "Emma, forgive me. I loved you. I lost myself. And now I lose everything." The bell rang again, louder. I closed my eyes, waiting, knowing the life I once held had ended long before they buried her.